I'm Renee Rochelle, the founder and president of One True Match. I'm here to help you find and cultivate the love of your life. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to the importance, purpose, and dynamic of human relationships. My team and I are disciplined by faith, love, and integrity to help our clients find the quality relationship they've always dreamt of. Each week, I will be sharing the tools and tips I've learned that have rooted my success as a matchmaker with other leaders around the world.
Hello, loves. I am excited to be here with you today and talk about a topic that is close and near and dear to my heart. When prayers go unanswered, believing in what you pray for. Let me ask you, have you ever prayed for something, maybe for weeks, months, or even years, and it feels like God isn't answering? You've been praying for that relationship, that love, that connection, and yet silence. It can be frustrating, heartbreaking, and confusing. Maybe you've been wondering, did I pray wrong? Am I worthy? Or does God even hear me? Well, today we're going to talk about keeping your faith aligned, even when it feels like God is silent in the areas of relationships. I've been there, trust me, and I know it's tough. And today I want to remind you of something that will help you keep going, believing in what you pray for, trusting that God is working even when you can't see it, and staying faithful in the promises He made for you. So let's dive in. First, let's talk about God's timing. We live in a world that expects everything to happen fast. Microwave meals, instant messages, quick responses. But God's timing doesn't work like that at all. His ways are higher than ours, and His plans are greater than we can comprehend. In Isaiah 55, 5-8 tells us, "For my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. As the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." I love that verse. We need to remind ourselves of that daily. When it feels like God isn't answering our prayers, remember that His timing is perfect. He sees the bigger picture that we can't yet understand. And sometimes the delay isn't a no, it's a not yet, because He's preparing you for something even better than you can imagine. I know it's hard. But when you're waiting, trust that God's working behind the scenes. There's so much happening that you can't see. It's like when you're waiting for a beautiful flower to bloom. You can't rush it, but when it finally blooms, you'll see how worth the wait was. Let's talk about faith for a moment. So often we think that faith is about believing we'll get the specific outcome we want. But true faith, the kind that brings a smile to God's face, is trusting God no matter the outcome. In Hebrews 11:1, we're reminded, now faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see. We don't always get to see how God's moving, and sometimes the answer isn't what we expect. But the essence of faith is trusting that God is good and He has a plan for us that's beyond what we can ever imagine. It's like the story of a woman who had been praying for years for a husband. She trusted God with her heart and her desires, but she kept her faith in Him. Whether or not the answer came when she wanted it, and as time passed, she began to realize that God's best for her wasn't just a husband. It was to deepen a richer relationship with him during that season of waiting. When God seems silent, it can be tempting to lose hope. But I want you to know that even in silence, God is still at work. In those moments, hold on to his promise. Remember his word. In Romans 8:28, we're reminded that in all things, God's works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. God hasn't forgotten about you, I promise. He sees the desires of your heart, and he is working things out for your good, even if it doesn't feel like it's right now. Maybe right now you're in a season of waiting. Maybe it feels like nothing is happening. But in that waiting, God is preparing your heart, growing you, and shaping you for the person he's calling you to be. Trust that when the time is right, he will bring the right person into your life. Not just someone who fits your checklist, but someone who will fulfill his purpose for your relationship. There is no right or wrong way to pray. However, one of the hardest things when we feel like our prayers aren't being answered is to keep praying with purpose. But this is where your faith gets stronger. Keep praying even when it feels like nothing is happening. Pray specifically. Ask God to refine your desires and to show you his will for your life. Ask him to help you become the kind of person who is ready for that relationship he has for you. Prayer isn't just about asking for things. It's about building a deeper relationship with God and trusting him through the process. And in the meantime, stay active in your faith. Keep growing, keep serving, and keep seeking God's purpose for your life. Sometimes the most significant spiritual breakthroughs happen when we're actively walking in faith, even when we can't see the outcome. Make sure you surround yourself around leaders and influential individuals that will encourage you and uplift you to continue to stay strong in your prayer. Now, I know it's tough to embrace silence, so let me encourage you with this. When it feels like God is silent, that's often when he's working the most. Just because you can't hear him doesn't mean he's not moving. Think about the story of David. He was anointed king, but it took years before he saw that promise come to fruition. And in the waiting, God was preparing him for what was to come. David had to learn to trust God with every part of his heart, even when it seemed like things weren't happening as fast as he had hoped. Trust that God is doing the same in you. He is preparing you for something beautiful. And that silence is a sign that he is working at it with you. So lean into him, hold on to your faith, and remember that he is faithful, even when it feels like the answer isn't coming as quickly as you like. So in conclusion, I want you to know that your waiting is not wasted. It's in this space that God's molding you into the person he wants you to be. Keep praying, keep trusting, and keep believing in what you pray for. Even when it feels like God's silent, he is still working in your life. So hold tight to the truth that he sees in you. He hears you, and he is faithful in fulfilling the good plans he has for you. Keep believing in what you pray. Keep believing in his promises. And remember that your faith is always bigger than your circumstances. Thank you so much for tuning in today and joining me on this topic about prayer. I pray that this message encourages you to keep going, even when it feels hard. you are not alone in this. There are so many people out there just like you navigating all of this. Be the strong one that encourages others as well as yourself. God is with you every step of the way. Tune in next week. Every Thursday, we have a new podcast coming out. And next week, we're going to talk about the truth about dating apps. Do they work for Christian singles? I hope you have a wonderful week, and I cannot wait till our next chat. Write in, comment, subscribe, share, and help us spread the word of love throughout all of our incredible Christian hearts. I'm going to love and leave you and hope you have a blessed week.
It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Rochelle. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.